When it comes to fighting game characters, there are several different types that characters tend to fit into. Sure, you have your Shotos, like Ryu, Sol, and Gran. Then you have the stuff like zoners, like Guile, Axel, and Rize. And you even got your grapplers, like Zangief, Ladiva, and Iron Tiger. But what about the really interesting characters? What about the characters that play an entire separate game than the rest of the cast? I'm talking about the super interesting characters. Call them technical, call them weird, you can call them a lot of things. But traditional isn't one of them. To give some context, these characters aren't really from super strange games. They're either from anime fighters or from a specific other game we'll get into a little bit later. I couldn't really think of any traditional fighters that would apply here. Street Fighter just has a normal fighter with pretty traditional movesets. I haven't played enough Tekken to actually understand that insane game. But one more thing before we get started, there are a few rules. Rule number 1, I can't use more than 2 of the characters from the same game. The entire list would be the exact same game. And rule number 2, that's it. That's all the rules. Alright, moving on. You ever heard of Guilty Gear Strive? The latest edition has Strive is out of this amazing character with an awesome gimmick. Meet Abba, a character who is both the worst and best character in the game at the exact same time. Abba has a jealousy meter, a mechanic in the game solely exclusive to her and her alone. When Abba lands specific attacks, her meter raises. At any point she can choose to go into the said meter and, well, she just kinda kills you. Her movement speed is through the roof, her damage is unfair, and she gets a lot more combos than she did not have access to beforehand. This type of gimmick is super interesting. Being able to build a mode and become an amazing character for a little bit is just super unique. And unlike some other characters in other games, she can get into this mode only having one combo. And it gets drained while she's using it. It's a constant battle of trying to keep this mode and stay in it, when trying to end the game while you have it. Of course, this makes her struggle against some other characters trying to keep her away, but she has a counter for that mode just to kind of fix that. Abba's a great addition to Strive, but more importantly, her mechanic is just so unique to her. But when I tell you that she is bad outside of Jealous Rage, I mean she's bad outside of Jealous Rage. She has the worst dash in the game, her buttons go nowhere, and she gets outspaced very, very easily by other characters. But overall, Abba is a super interesting character playstyle-wise, especially compared to some of the other Strive characters. Speaking of Strive, another Strive character is up next, Asuka R. Asuka is legitimately playing a card game while fighting you. Each of his buttons are linked to different specials that he has, and Asuka has 3 different decks called test cases that he can go into whenever he wants, all of which have different sets of cards with different effects. He has his traditional deck that's kind of a mix of the other 2 test cases. He has a ranged one where he gets a bunch of cubes, and mainly a wall of cubes, to wall out his opponent. And he has a mix-up deck where he gets a bunch of high and low attacks that aren't really reactable. This alone's already incredibly unique to his playstyle, but there's even more. Asuka has a mana bar. It's the way that he kind of uses all of these spells. Each spell has a different cost of mana. When Asuka is hit, his mana decreases. Asuka is also able to use his life or meter to regain this mana at quick rates. This character is a character of endless possibilities, and it's fascinating. When Asuka has mana, his defense raises into extraordinary rates. But when he has no mana, he gets killed in one combo. Each round on Asuka is completely different, and honestly, he is a blast when you try to actually understand him. Moving away from Strive, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. Listen, if I want to talk about something for 7 hours, it would be my love for this game, but we can't do that right now. Persona 4 Arena has this character called Elizabeth. I have to kind of give a little bit of context behind this pick. In Persona 3, Elizabeth is an optional side boss, and a very important part of this is that she could just kill you if she wanted to. In Persona 4 Arena, she's a character whose counter does 0 damage, the only one in the game. She's also a character who can drain her health just to go into a super mode. She already gets to super mode later in the game anyways, she just kind of felt like going into it now. She then proceeds to get healing moves, full screen lasers, and just a bunch of moves whose entire goal is to either stall you out or upset you. In the last 10 seconds of the round, 2 of her moves, Haman and Mudan, will instantly kill you. In the games, if you don't deal enough damage to Elizabeth, she will just kill you immediately. So it's kind of mirroring that aspect. Elizabeth is an example of how to make a non-fighting game character a fighting game character. And sure, there are other characters like this, like Lorraine from Grand Blue, but Elizabeth just kind of does it in a different way, and she is just designed in a much more interesting concept. We couldn't talk about Persona 4 Arena Ultimax without talking about Junpei. In case you didn't know, Junpei plays baseball the entire time he's playing against you. See, in Persona 4 Arena, there are different types of attacks. There are normal attacks, and there are Persona attacks. Some of Junpei's normal attacks hit you with a bat. When hitting an opponent with a normal attack that uses a bat, that puts a runner on base for Junpei. If you miss an attack, you get a strike, and 3 strikes you're out. The base is reset on 3 outs. When Junpei lands an ultimate, he gets a home run, sending all runners on base home and scoring 1 point for each. This mechanic is already fairly interesting, but it really actually starts to matter whenever he has 10 points. Whenever he has 10 points, he is able to cancel moves into other moves, allowing for insane combos. And with this feature, he keeps these points moving into the next round. The first round isn't really about winning, it's kind of about getting into his victory cry. Junpei is a completely different character with a different damage output. The way he gets into this mode and his playstyle, just kind of adapting into this, is really interesting. He's just kind of playing baseball, and then he gets really strong. Finally, we have Phoenix Wright from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Look, I know everyone knows how this character works, but he's just so freaking cool. His entire playstyle is to stall the opponent until he manages to collect all the evidence he needs. Each evidence gives him a different move, which allows him to go into different combo routes. He has an assist in a game of assists that's meant to delay the opponent from getting the Phoenix Wright while he's literally working. And finally, when he lands an objection, he goes into trial mode, or turnabout mode, in which he becomes the best character in the game for like 20 seconds. His combos become insta-kills, he unlocks a third super, and all of his tools just get much better. Phoenix is regarded as one of the most interesting characters in fighting games, and I 100% agree. That was my first video. I worked pretty hard on it, and I really hope that all of you enjoyed. If any of you want to tell me, like, your most interesting fighting game characters that I didn't cover, I would love to hear them. I absolutely love hearing about fighting game characters. If you would, it'd be awesome if you would subscribe. It is in fact free, and I really want to do YouTube as a full-time job. You can always change your mind. Also, there is a link tree in my description, as well as all of these clips that I have used in my description, because I don't want to use clips without at least crediting people. Thank you so much for these amazing arts that I have commissioned. You can check out these 2 people in Twitter. Their stuff is great, and their art is actually amazing, so I heavily suggest it. Anyways, thank you guys so much, and I'm gonna go work on another video.